Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking events of 2025, Hans Niemann taking down reigning world champion Magnus Carlsen in a classical game. Yes, you heard that right. No blitz, no rapid, full-time control, full drama. We've got detailed commentary, and every single twist and blunder from this insane Italian game battle. Niemann opens with pawn to e4, and Carlsen responds with pawn to e5. We get knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, knight to f6 entering the two knights defense of the Italian game. So far, all standard and best moves. Pawn to d3 by Niemann, solid stuff, and bishop to e7 from Carlsen. Niemann plays knight to c3. And here, Magnus plays kingside castling. The engine flags this as a slight inaccuracy. It's not a blunder, but the best move was pawn to d6. By castling now, Magnus lets go of his tiny opening advantage. Pawn to a3 is a good, useful move from Niemann, and Carlsen plays pawn to d6, getting that key pawn move in. Niemann plays bishop to e3. This is another small inaccuracy. The engine believes getting the king safe with kingside castling was the best path. Carlsen correctly plays pawn to a5. Niemann continues with queen to e2, a move with the clear idea of castling queenside. Carlsen challenges the center with the best move, bishop to e6. Niemann commits to the attack with queenside castling. And right here, Magnus makes his first significant mistake. He plays queen to d7. This move looks normal, but it misses a golden opportunity. The best move was the powerful pawn break, pawn to d5, which would have given black a serious advantage. After queen to d7, white is now the one with a small edge. Niemann plays rook to g1, an inaccuracy because it ignores the lingering threat of pawn to d5. And here, Carlsen plays the strong knight to g4, putting pressure on the e3 bishop. And now, we get the first major blunder of the game. Niemann plays pawn to h3, a huge mistake. The analysis is brutal here. This is a mistake that gives black a winning advantage. The problem is it does nothing to solve the threat of knight takes on e3. The correct move was bishop to d2, to save the bishop. Of course, Magnus plays the best move, knight takes on e3, capturing the bishop. Niemann recaptures with pawn takes on e3, and his pawn structure is damaged. At this point, Carlsen is completely winning. But then, an unbelievable twist. Carlsen plays pawn to a4, a mistake that gives away almost all of his advantage. The analysis shows the best move was knight to a7, with the idea of attacking on the queenside. This was a huge let-off for Niemann. The game continues. Bishop to b5 from Niemann, the best move. Queen to c8 from Carlsen, also best. Then Niemann plays pawn to d4, another inaccuracy. It ignores the threat of knight to a5, which Carlsen correctly plays, threatening to trap the bishop with pawn to c6. After pawn to d5, bishop to d7, Niemann correctly plays bishop takes on a4, grabbing a pawn. Carlsen strikes back in the center with the best move, pawn to c6. The position is a mess. We see knight to d2, a good move. But Carlsen makes another big mistake with bishop to e8, a bad move that blocks his own pieces. The best move was queen to c7. After this, Niemann has a decisive advantage. After some exchanges with knight takes on b3 and pawn takes on d5, we get to the most critical moment of the entire game. Niemann plays pawn takes on d5, a massive mistake. The engine shows this move loses on the spot because Niemann completely missed the killer reply. The winning move for black was rook takes on a3. If white takes back with pawn takes on a3, then queen takes on c3 is checkmate. The game would have been over. But Magnus Carlsen missed it. He plays pawn to f5, an inaccuracy that lets Niemann survive. Niemann plays king to b1, and then Magnus makes another mistake with bishop to g6. The chaos continues for a few moves. And then, we reach the final, fatal blunder. Niemann has just played knight to f1, an inaccurate move. Magnus is still better here. He has a winning position. And in this winning position, he plays pawn to f4. This is a catastrophic, game-losing blunder. The analysis shows it loses the queen by force. By playing pawn to f4, Magnus stops guarding the e4 square and walks right into a killer tactic. Niemann plays the best move, the winning move, knight to e4. A fork. It attacks the queen on c5 and the bishop on g5. It's all over. Carlsen has to give up his queen with queen takes on c1, rook takes on c1, bishop takes on e4. The dust settles, and Niemann has a completely decisive advantage. From here on, Niemann puts on a masterclass in converting a one position. He creates unstoppable passed pawns on the queen side. Carlsen makes a few more mistakes, like rook to e8 and king to h7, which just speeds up the end. Niemann pushes his pawns relentlessly, pawn to b4, pawn to a4, pawn to a6. After pawn to b5, the analysis confirms it's a forced checkmate. And Niemann seals the deal with the brilliant final move, queen takes on c8. A stunning queen sacrifice to deflect the rook. If black plays rook takes on c8, then pawn to b7 promotes to a new queen. Seeing that the position was completely hopeless, Magnus Carlsen resigned. And there you have it. An incredible, messy, and unforgettable victory for Hans Niemann. This game was a story of massive blunders. Niemann's mistakes on move 11 and 20 should have cost him the game. But Carlsen missed his chance and made the final, decisive error on move 26. Niemann seized his opportunity with that brilliant knight to e4 fork and never looked back. What a crazy game. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep game analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.